On this week's episode, we're going to talk about mounting a scope. I want to start at the very bottom, the thing that not a lot of people think about, but that's the base or the rail on a lot of rifles. Now, this one's in 20 MOA. Most scopes will have enough to shoot out to at least a mile with a 20 MOA rail. Now, if you're going to go ELR, you're going to go something crazy like that, you might need a 30 or a 40 or something like that. But with most optics and most of us shooting the distances we shoot, a 20 MOA rail will do everything you need to do. I see too many people skimp on price on rings. Rings are one of the most important pieces of your rifle because it holds your scope to your rifle. If you've got crappy rings, your scope's gonna move, you're never gonna stay zeroed, and you're gonna fight it forever. So do not skimp on your rings. Go with a solid ring. A lot of people go with a solid one-piece mount now. It's totally up to you. But do not skimp on the rings. It's of vital importance. One of the first things I like to do is I like to set my rings in there and then set my scope tube on there. I want to make sure that these rings give me enough room on my tube to be able to adjust my eye relief after I get this snugged down. One other thing that a lot of you miss is taking your rings and pushing them forward. In a lot of rails versus rings, there's different specs. And a lot of times there is movement in your rings, between your rings and your rail. So make sure as you torque these down, you've pushed them forward and you torque them correctly to your base. One thing I didn't mention is having a good quality set of tools to do this with. I've seen too many torque their tubes down too hard and it actually collapses onto the erectors. So now when you try to adjust your optic, it's not going to move and then you're going to call wondering why it's broke. So make sure as you're doing this, you're using right equipment. Know your torque specs. If you need help, make sure you call us, ask us what the torque specs are before you go doing this. Now next, I'm gonna put the tops of my rings on. There's a way to torque rings on a rifle. If you've ever changed a tire, you do a star pattern. It's the same thing on rings on a scope. You wanna just kind of slowly tighten one side, go across, slowly tighten the next side, and vice versa, all the way back and forth. I don't usually torque my rings until I've set my eye relief. I will snug them down. That way you can move the scope forward or backwards to adjust your eye relief. Okay, we've properly set up our scope. Now we can go to the range. We can make sure that it's dialing correctly by going through the processes of a box test or whatever you like to do. In future episodes, we'll go over eye relief and we'll go over level. So make sure you keep an eye on our YouTube channel for that. Thanks for joining us. If you got any questions, put them below.